President Trump this week revoked the security clearance of former CIA Chief John Brennan, citing Mr. Brennan's, quote, lying and recent conduct characterized by increasingly frenzied commentary as the basis of that decision. He had this to say on Friday.
There's no silence. If anything, I'm giving him a bigger voice. Many people don't even know who he is, and now he has a bigger voice, and that's okay with me because I like taking on voices like that. I've never respected him. I've never had a lot of respect.
Here's just a few of the things Mr. Brennan has said about Mr. Trump.
Donald Trump has badly sullied the reputation of the office of the presidency. Mr. Trump continues to have his ignorance of the facts or willful disregard of them. I and so many other former national security officials are speaking out because of the abnormal and aberrant behavior of Mr. Trump.
And he said a lot more worse things than that. With me to discuss, former White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci and founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. I immediately regret bringing those two guys in at the same table. This is going to go very smoothly, I'm sure. Mr. Scaramucci, what do you think about revoking this? Is this vindictive or is this justified?
Well, listen, he can do anything he wants in that capacity as it relates to it, but I would have been more cautious about it because over 75 years, you've had a bipartisan commitment on national security. We've done great things on the national security front since 9/11. The president obviously was a huge supporter of all these guys during the 9/11 crisis, which is only a short 17 years ago or 16 years ago. And so for me, I would not be doing it, but he wants to do it. I get why he's doing it. But, Jesse, I've got a very contrarian view of all this stuff. I think that he's exonerated in the Mueller investigation. If anything, maybe some periphery damage to people not really super close to him. He goes on and surprises everybody with a non-blue wave possible keeping of the House. And he wins a resounding re-election. And so I don't think you need to deploy this weaponry right now. That's me.
Yeah,
so
I would deploy the weaponry
I'm sure he disagrees
full
with me.
Speed ahead.
I'm sure there's going to be 12
Charlie.
more guys that come off the list.
Charlie,
I sure hope so.
It's not just some of the things he said, because some of the things he said have been very disgusting. Just look at his track record, though. He was the CIA station chief in Saudi Arabia during the Khobar Towers. He was the executive director of the agency on 9/11. He was the CIA chief during the Iraq WMD deal. He ran the CIA when it spied on Congress and then lied about it. He made all these Benghazi survivors sign this non-disclosure agreement. He actually gave it to them at a memorial service. He lied to Congress about the dossier, and it's believed he leaked the dossier. And when you add that to the fact that he's on television and on Twitter saying the president's mentally unfit, accusing the president of being a traitor, and then calling on the president's cabinet to remove him from office, I don't think he deserves it.
It's your world, and I'm just living in it, and I'm going to let Charlie talk.
All right.
Let me just tell you,
yeah.
You're going down a slippery slope that you don't want to be 8 years from now with a Democratic president that's taking shots at guys for political reasons. And so you guys are going to disagree with me. I'm sure the president...
Well, I thought after 8 years, Mike Pence is going to be president.
I hope so. I hope so. I call him 46. But I hope so. But let me tell you something. If it's not the case, you got to be very careful on national security, making it a partisan issue.
I understand that.
Sorry.
Is there a reason he should have the security clearance post actually being in the position? And it's a good thing none of these guys ever leak. Right?
Yeah, right.
It's a good thing that, Comey and all these guys with security clearance never actually talked to reporters and divulged secret information. Look, here's the problem, is that Brennan, right now, he hates Trump a lot more than he cares about what's the well-being of America is. He is pathologically determined to undercut this president. You see what he's saying on cable news? It's all about him. I love it. He says, I will not be silenced. Who's silencing you? You go on cable news every other day calling for, the constitutional provision for the cabinet to convene the...
It's not about a free speech issue.
No, it
really isn't. And you know what? These guys leverage this clearance that they get to look at classified information to use as credibility to
boost their speaking fees,
speaking gigs, and to go on cable television. So he has, I think, forfeited the right and he has been afforded to him, because this is a courtesy. This is a professional courtesy, and he is disrespected.
I got to, this is the first time I'm on Fox News where it's 2-on-1. You know what I mean?
We should do this more often.
I'm usually on the home team here.
Yeah,
okay,
I know. You feel like Juan Williams, don't you?
But here's the problem. Everything you guys are saying, I get everything you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you got to be cautious here, because these people, whether you like them or not, all their faults and defects, The country has been, by and large, kept very safe, and the rank-and-file people in these agencies, they love the president.
Wow,
so
Anthony Scaramucci, the reasonable and measured one.
I don't want to go too crazy.
The table, okay.
It's his world, though.
All right. Now, this was a bad week for the Cuomo brothers. I don't know if you guys saw this, but it began with CNN anchor Chris Cuomo defending Antifa.
If you're a punk who comes to start trouble in a mask and hurt people, you're not about any virtuous cause. You're just somebody who's going to be held to the standard of doing something wrong. But when someone comes to call out bigots and it gets hot, even physical, are they equally wrong as the bigot they are fighting? I argue no. Drawing a moral equivalency between those espousing hate and those fighting it because they both resort to violence emboldens hate. It's not about it being right in the eyes of the law, but you also have to know what's right and wrong in a moral and a good and evil sense. That's why people who show up to fight against bigots are not to be judged the same as the bigots, even if they do resort to the same kinds of petty violence.
Now, he's talking about the Antifa people that showed up to protest, I think, a dozen white supremacists the other day. Now, just a reminder, these are the guys, the Antifa people, that Chris Cuomo is defending.
What would you do if Donald Trump showed up at this rally? Murder him? Murder him for the people?
If it came down to it and it was a group effort, we'd have to do him like Gaddafi.
If I get a chance to him up, I would.
If the president showed up at this march, what would you do, sir?
If that's not bad enough, just a few days later, big brother Andrew Cuomo said this about the greatest country in the world.
We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great. We have not reached greatness. We will reach greatness when every American is fully engaged.
So Andrew looks at Chris and says, "Hold my beer." What do you want to take on first?
Well, I don't like Italian on Italian crime, so let me just try to evaluate it objectively. Okay, number one, Andrew had the worst week, for sure. But what I would caution my friend Chris Cuomo on is that you really have to study the teachings of Dr. King to understand that you don't fight violence with violence. It's totally inappropriate. The civil disobedience movement in the United States has done more for equal opportunity than anything. And violence on violence, okay, is a stupid idea. It doesn't matter who it is, okay? But I think his brother had a worse week, though.
Right, I agree with that. And the Antifa people, they don't just always show up when there's a white supremacist rally. They show up and protest ICE workers. I think we had video the other day, Charlie, of an Antifa person, a white Antifa protester, calling a black ICE worker the N-word. So if they're against intolerance and hate, why are they doing that? And didn't they just...
That's right. They just stormed the Breakfast Cafe in Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love.
Sorry about
there
that.
it is right there, where Candace and I were just having breakfast, and they pour water on us and throw things. And here's the problem that I'll say about saying that, oh, it's okay if this violence happens. Well, because they determine who the bigots are completely and totally subjectively. Right. So they call Candace Owens a white supremacist, therefore it's okay to resort to violence. And going to the governor of New York and his comments, he's not upset that he said it. He's upset he got caught.
True.
There are members of the Democrat Party that truly believe this. On college campuses, when I visit and I give speeches, I hear every single day, America was never a great country. We're a racist, bigoted, homophobic, horrible colonialist country that was illegally founded based on stealing the lands of indigenous people. This is being taught at the elementary stages of our public education system, and he just happened to say what everyone in the base of the Democratic Party believes.
Right, it's Trump derangement syndrome. So Trump comes out and says, make America great again, and they feel like they have to do the opposite and say America was never great. And it gets them into huge amounts of trouble politically.
I'm not a Democratic strategist, but I got to just tell you something. They're playing right into the president's hands.
That's right.
He wants to push them as far left as possible. And by the way, the Cynthia Nixon people have those placards up, Charlie, where they say America never was great. And that's why he's in there.
He's making Cynthia Nixon look like a patriot.
That's why he's in there saying that, because he wants to corner their votes. But, Andrew, I mean, that was big foot and mouth disease there, man. Whoa.
I think in 2020, the election is going to be about whether or not you love this country. And that's going to be a pretty horrifying...
I'm going to go with the Republicans on that one.
Keep America great.
Keep America great, right?
Hey, listen, the guy has done a phenomenal job. He's going to win by a landslide in 2020. I mean, it's been
convincingly get reelected.
Just look at everything that's going on. He's done a phenomenal job.
I like that. Are those real diamonds on your brooch, by the way?
It actually is.
You love America that much to put diamonds on his lapel
Hold on a second.
pin.
This was a Father's Day gift from my wife, okay? And I love my wife, and so I'm wearing it, okay?
Beautiful.
You guys can beat up on me.
Beautiful,
and
Anthony.
don't be telling people it's real, because I don't want to get mugged out there by the Antifa crowd.
That's
okay?
right. Antifa, leave them alone.
These are fake rhinestones.
That's
okay?
right. And don't mess his hair up, all right?
This is fake news jewelry, fellas.